Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oni Ziwayom, and it is my pleasure that I have got to be your MC for this afternoon's session. And I would like to welcome all of us to the 2021 ASAQS virtual tour. And our program for this afternoon, I believe everyone has got a copy. Please feel comfortable. It is at this point in time that I really wish to welcome the ASAQS board, all the members of the board, the president of the board, Mr. Keith Skinner, the executive director, and also the EduTech executive director, Mr. Carl Trussler, and also a special welcome and a special invitation to our finalists and their invited family and friends. Please feel welcome. And most importantly, to all the members that have taken the initiative to join us, we really appreciate. As they always say, I think it is those that are in attendance that will shape the future with suggestions and their comments going forward. Without much ado, I would like us to get started. But just to mention, just in terms of our proceedings, can I request that as our presenters get started, if there are any questions, please feel comfortable to put any of your questions under the Q&A session, not on the chat box, because otherwise they might end up getting overlooked. Feel comfortable if there's any questions that you have got, please feel free to put them under Q&A. And those questions that are in there will be dealt with and responded to after each presentation. With that said, I really again like to welcome to this virtual setting that is all members from the all corners of our country. Now, without further ado, can I take this opportunity then to introduce and to welcome for our presidential presentation, our ASAQS board president, Mr. Keith Skinner. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks for that introduction. And also thank you very much for taking up the reins as our MC today. Just before I get started, I must thank Carl and Gwen for arranging this virtual presidential tour, for getting the invites out, and for dealing with all of the admin. Really appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. And the welcome to all our members, everyone that's joined us. And hopefully today will be interesting, if nothing else, and informative in terms of some of the discussions. And I'm hoping that we will open up a channel for a little bit of debate and discussion, possibly during the course of today and certainly going forward in terms of our industry. I've named my presentation today, What is in a Name? And I'll get back to that cryptic note during the course of the presentation. And don't worry, I do have 1 or 2 slides. You don't have to look at my face here from my home office for the entire presentation. We will move on to 1 or 2 slides that are slightly more interesting. And I have the benefit today, and I'm very pleased to say, in a virtual room full of number crunching, spreadsheet loving quantity surveyors, I actually get to be the interesting presenter for a change. Poor old Larry has to follow this with the spreadsheets, the statistics, the numbers. And I think for once, it's only fair that Larry, dealing with all the QSs, gets to be the real QS in the room, while the rest of us can discuss some other points. Due to the COVID restrictions that we have currently find ourselves in relating to travel, and thanks to technology, I was fortunate enough to attend the Specific Association of Quantity Surveyors board meeting on Friday. It was hosted in the Philippines, so had we actually attended that function, we would have needed to travel, which won't necessarily be a bad thing, but certainly in terms of the times we're living in, the virtual world that we find ourselves in, these meetings and these communications are just so much more free flowing, and the ability for us to communicate on such a broad base. And today, here I am, and as Oni noted it, we are speaking to people across Mzansi, hopefully all four corners of the country, from north to south and east to west. I was told around the middle of 2020, we were having a discussion around the development of the software systems, the Zooms of this world, the MS Teams, etc., that the development of IT in the South African industry had developed at the rate of 2 years in 3 months. In other words, the first 3 months of lockdown, we had seen 2 years worth of development on our IT systems. And that has only increased with time. It's been an exponential increase. Now, as we all know, 90% of statistics are made up on the spot, so we can't be certain about the 3 months versus the 2 years, but we do know that this growth, this development has impacted all of us. Whether you like it or not, it's here to stay and it's not going to change. I'm going to apologize up in advance at the beginning of my presentation here, just in case I miss a name or two in the thank yous. I am diverting a little bit from the traditional presentation process where we have all the thank yous in one batch. I would rather spread that over the course of the presentation and address the individuals and thank them as we get to the relevant points in the presentation. So this title, what is in a name? It certainly may seem a little bit cryptic. And I am hoping that during the course of the presentation, and I will keep it brief, I'll shed some light on this. I'll shed some light on my thinking, some discussions I've had with our EXCO and our board members, and where we are going as a profession. It's not the intention today in this brief presentation to solve problems, but I'm hoping to, as I said earlier, open up debate, open up discussion, and I'd be very keen to get those thoughts coming in and questions coming in over the duration of the next while. You'll find that I'm very fond of using the term evolving, evolution, when it relates to our profession. Quantity surveying is not a stagnant profession, by no means. We have seen change over the last 18 months to 24 months, which has been at a phenomenal pace, but that is not new. That change has been over the last several years and several decades for that matter. So moving on to the slides, so long as I can get my screen up, and I'm going to just ask one of the team to confirm that you can all see this. Gwen, if I could just ask you to confirm that you can see my slides.
Yes, I can
please.
see that.
Thank you very
yes,
much.
It's clear.
Okay, thank you. So I began my term as president in late May of this year, and I must admit it was with some trepidation, and the inevitable question crossed my mind: what had I gotten myself into? We were slowly coming out of the worst of the COVID period. We knew more was to come, as we experienced in June through to August in terms of our third wave. And I was following on from the leadership and the guidance and the example set by Christelle Bowen. She had taken up the role just before COVID hit us, but in the midst of a financial crisis. We knew we were in a recession, we were in tough times. Christelle was elected as our president, and she took up the helm and drove from there. A year into her presidency and in the midst of a growing pandemic, we stepped or asked her to retain that presidency for an additional 12 months. Christelle being Christelle, I won't say gladly, but certainly took on the role and jumped at the opportunity to lead us for a further period and to guide us through a storm that we had no idea was coming in the first place, and secondly, had no idea how we were going to get through it. The leadership that she showed was immaculate. It was fantastic to be working with her during that period. And Christelle, I must admit I haven't seen your name today, so I trust you're here with us. I'm not saying this for any other reason than the fact that it is the truth. And I must thank you for the hours, the long, hard slog that you put in to guide us through these very tough times. She provided leadership to our association in an industry that was coming to its knees at a rapid pace. And I don't say that lightly. We were struggling and still are for that moment. As I said, Christelle took up the reins for the 12 months, not expecting to go on for 24 months. And she led as a steadfast leader in the midst of this global pandemic and represented us exceptionally well in our industry. Taking cognizance of my reservations, I'm very grateful not only to have a very strong team in terms of the board, the EXCO, but also the leadership back at the office under the guidance of our executive director, Larry Feinberg. The team at the office have also stepped up, and I must thank them for what they have done over the last 2 years. As we all know, it has not been easy working remotely. The team at the office have done this, and most of us would never have known that the office wasn't open. And I do thank them for all of the work that's been put in. Also, in terms of our EXCO structure, we are privileged to still have Christelle in the mix and the ability to bounce ideas and thoughts off of her. My Vice President, Newton Beloy, my Deputy Vice President, Masha Pilwani, they have over the past several months proven to be indispensable sounding boards. What is really fortunate and what I'm pleased to say and announce to the members is that we don't agree on everything. And at times, the three of us have very different views. And this is great. This is excellent for us as an association. First of all, it encourages debate. Now, any good QS is always up for a good debate, but more importantly, these differing views allow us to strengthen the association. And I can say, in all honesty, one or two of the debates have been quite heated, not in a bad way, just in sharing the views. Larry has had to put up with our differing views, and I thank him for, on the odd occasion, playing mediator. I assure you, it's not as bad as it sounds. We eventually do come to a resolution amongst us, and it's not that anyone gives. It is that we come up with what is best for the association as we see it, and are able then to assist and grow. Something I must just mention at the moment, and I did say to Carl before starting the session, this idea of speaking to a computer monitor as opposed to a sea of faces is incredibly difficult. So I do apologize if I stop and start along the way. I've just got to, on the odd occasion, get my bearings again and remember that I'm speaking to a virtual room full of people. So we're all fully aware of the impact of COVID. The nation in general, and certainly the industry, is COVID weary. Now, COVID weary without the E, apologize, just with the A is a good thing. Yeah, washing the hands, wearing our masks, doing the Cyril bump with our elbows. This is something we must maintain and keep up. And we're always going to encourage everyone to follow the health protocols. But in terms of this COVID weary world we live in, the barking dogs in the background, the laughing children, on occasion, the crying child or the screaming child, and the neighbor who opts to mow the lawn at the most inconvenient time, inevitably during an EXCO meeting or a budget presentation, has become commonplace in our meetings. And it's not just the traffic passing by the executive offices in Sandton, Rosebank, and outlying areas. The physical and mental well-being of our members, our staff, our personnel, and by that I'm referring to Larry and the office team, is paramount. This term mental well-being, well, historically at least, has often been whispered in almost hushed tones. And as Africans, and South Africans in particular, we don't suffer from mental health issues. Well, at least we believe we don't. And It's a misnomer, and we've got to take cognizance of these issues in terms of how we deal with business, how we engage with our staff, and how we run the business, not only for the benefit of the profession, but for the benefit of these people in the profession. And it is a good way for us to assist and mentor our teams coming up as our young QSs. So not only is the term mental well-being and physical well-being a catchphrase, it is important to our business. It's as important as having a thorough knowledge of the standard system or having attended a JBCC course, preferably through the EduTech system and presented by Carl, although the JBCC course is a different debate altogether. But we need to have this knowledge in this modern world we live in. Many, if not most people, are suffering from this COVID weariness, as I mentioned earlier. We have suffered financial stress and strains over the last 2 years, skilled professionals leaving the country or just leaving the industry. We've seen people retire early. We've seen people take on different roles. The loss of mentorship opportunities, which for me personally has been quite a difficult situation to deal with. And by that, and I'm sure a lot of you experienced that, with the shutdown and the lockdown and us being away from the offices, I'm still one of those that believes there's nothing as good as sitting down with a drawing or a bill of quantities or a feasibility on paper with a red pen and sitting with that young graduate that we're going to be grooming to grow as a quantity surveyor in the profession and marking up the document there with them in person. On top of this, we have lost lives and we have lost loved ones. We have gone from and I'm hoping you can see my cursor, which I'm pointing with at the moment, from the marked up detailed drawings. And some of the older QSs in the room may think back longingly to the days we had details in this much, with this much detail on drawings, to this modern hybrid world, this new term that we are using, where we have people in the office, we have people sitting remotely, and it's got its pros and cons, no doubt about it. So in October, 21st of October, 2021, this would have been one of the distressing headlines we woke up to. In this case, MoneyWeb, so a web-based news article, where South Africa's office vacancy rate reached an all-time high at 15.4%, the worst since 2003, if I'm not mistaken, where we were at 15% office vacancy. Bearing in mind, of course, that since 2003, the office profile in this country has changed and the portfolio has increased. So 15.4% of a greater quantum. This is according to the latest office vacancy surveys from SAPOA, who are a source I often go to, so have the utmost faith in them. Of almost 18.9 square meters, 18.9 million, apologies, square meters of office space in SA's major metropolitan hubs, 2.91 square meters is currently unoccupied. That equates to more than the office space in the Joburg and Cape Town CBDs combined. The flip side, however, and this is something that is extremely important to me, not so much the reference to the mining sector, but the fact that as quantity surveyors, we move across different sectors. Very important. We are often categorized as being related to the construction industry, to real estate, to building buildings. It is not the case. We develop and deliver some of the best mining QSs in the world. They're in demand globally. So on the mining side, mining contributed about 6.7% to the country's GDP last year and will contribute about 7.6% this year, adding 803.3 billion and 908.53 billion respectively to the GDP over the last 2 years. And then there's also the 1.6 million jobs that the mining sector has sustained and developed over last year, with 2.3 million this year. So these are positive figures, extremely important for us to bear in mind. I came across this phrase a few weeks ago. Now, unfortunately, I don't know where it originates from, so I cannot give credit to the author. But for me, this phrase has crystallized my thinking in terms of the way we need to be approaching our profession, our industry. What got us here won't get us there. Post-COVID, post-lockdown, there's no such thing as normal. The COVID period, we were talking about the new normal, about when we return to office. The term new normal that was bandied about for a few months has effectively disappeared from our vocabularies. Normal is what we face today, and normal is changing. Normal is developing, normal is evolving. Once again, back to my evolving term that I so like to use in terms of our profession. Normal has become a term that defines progression, excuse me, progression and evolution. It's not just about the same day in, day out. Excuse me. I noted earlier that the role of the QS has changed and it has evolved over the past several decades. The core principles remain constant. We remain professional and we remain unwavering in our approach to project governance. But that project could be the one brick wall that as first-year students, most of us would have had to measure. I had the privilege of being taught how to measure a one brick wall by Professor Gay LaRue. Nowadays, that one brick wall may be a new mine shaft, a lift installation in a mine. It might be a new ship. A company has recently developed units for Arctic expedition. QSs were involved in that. So we cover a very broad spectrum, and it is important that we bear that in mind, not just think of ourselves as the old-fashioned brick counters. So engineering infrastructure projects, mining projects, our skills are broad, but the principles stay constant. Now, if the few points that I've raised in this presentation so far are leaving some of you a little bit disheartened, thinking that that feasibility that you were going to try get out this afternoon quickly after the session can be left, and that you're going to go and get in a quick 9 holes of golf or maybe a spot of fishing for those who are fortunate enough to be down at the coast. Well, let's hopefully change your mind about all of that. So talking about adapting, talking about developing, and the 2020 there is important. It's not an incorrect date, it's deliberate. Cole, thank you for what you developed and what you gave us as a profession, us as ASAQS members, and certainly us as a board and EXCO last year. You went into the year prepared to present traditional CPD events where people would get together at various venues. A number of those people would be going through to our offices in Midrand, and suddenly you had to move online. Now, I jokingly mentioned to Cole when I spoke to him the latter part of last week that the term webinar didn't even exist when Cole was at varsity. And certainly the concept of studying via the internet, which, by the way, also didn't exist when Cole was at university. Apologies, Cole, if I've put you into a specific time frame here, but I think it's true for a lot of us that are sitting in this room today. And Cole, as a good QS, adapted, developed, and with the support from Larry and the team back at the office, has turned this misfortune, this COVID pandemic that we are also wary about, into an opportunity. And during the course of this year, 2021, the CPD events have been offered online. We have had takers from a global perspective participating, and it has become an additional income stream, and an exceptionally good income stream for us, as well as reaching to a large number. And Cole, I do apologize if I get this number wrong, but something like 3,000 attendees last year, which are massive numbers from a jump in 2019. So that's a prime example of a QS that is moving with the times. Now, this term of quantity surveyor, and I'm fully conscious the debate has gone on for a long time as to the term quantity surveyor and our name. And this is where I'm coming back to the title of this presentation. I did a quick search on Google just out of interest yesterday, what the definition of a quantity surveyor is, and came up with this first definition. A person who calculates the amount of materials needed for building work and how much they will cost. That's what Google tells us. Unfortunately, a number of our clients, and a large number of those clients sit within the public sector, believe that that is what we do. Yes, maybe the average quantity surveyor in Australia or the average quantity surveyor in Canada does that. But in South Africa, we cover the bases. And this definition of the construction consultant or commercial manager, I believe and strongly believe, defines our role far better in terms of the service we offer to our clients in this country. And the role is to keep a close eye on project finances, contractual relationships, and to make sure that the financial position of a construction project is accurately reported and controlled. This control, for me, is an exceptionally important word. Effectively for the lifespan of a project. So on the term of names, most of you will be fully aware of a term such as Xerox, which refers to a copy machine or even a copy. A Hoover, we think generically of a Hoover as a vacuum cleaner, whilst it is a brand name. A Leatherman is a multi-tool. However, there are many multi-tools out there, not just Leatherman. It's that old scenario of the thumb and the fingers. All Leathermans are multi-tools, but not all multi-tools are Leathermans. I want to break away from our presentation for a moment and give you a brief English lesson. Our two farmers here, hardworking farmers, although I haven't seen too many farmers simply standing around leaning on their rakes or carrying their rakes, but usually they're working extremely hard. The term farmer is commonplace in our vocabulary in what we discuss on a daily basis. Pretty much everybody will understand what a farmer is when we throw out the term farmer. They may not be 100% certain as to their speciality, be it a dairy farmer, cattle, maize crops, but they know what a farmer is, and they have a picture similar to what I've just shown you here as to what a farmer looks like. The term farmer actually originated from the collecting of payments, such as rent. And it became the rent was a source of income for landlords. So during medieval times, a farmer was actually the debt collector. The term then became adopted for parcels of land where the farmer would collect rental for his landlord, and the term slowly developed into farmer. Now, the reason I mention this and the reason I am wanting to discuss this is the term quantity surveyor. Does it need to develop? Does it need to change? Does it need to grow? Or do we simply need to make sure that the world out there understands that the quantity surveyor is evolving, that we are changing, that we are moving with the times? There certainly is no quick fix. We can't have a discussion with the ASAQS tomorrow and suddenly change from ASAQS from QS to cost engineer or cost manager or something of the sort. But it is important, from my opinion, that we as quantity surveyors are conveying this message that we are not simply the brick counters. We don't quantify in cost only. We provide an invaluable service. I was having a discussion with a colleague and friend of mine who runs a small little practice, 4 QSs in total, 3 QSs, apologies, 3 QSs, I must be politically correct here, 3 PR QSs, 1 graduate who is busy with his candidacy and studying to become a QS. And his frustration is that every time he has a new client, and with a small practice like that, he often has to bring new clients in, he has to explain what his value add is, and that his value add goes through the entire project, going back to the controlling the costs effectively. What I've also seen over the span of my career, and I'm sure many of you have had this discussion at times, is the fact that the QS profession is about to go extinct. When the personal computer was brought into the QS office, people were saying, no need for a quantity surveyor. Why do we need people who are going to use DIM paper, which has subsequently become abolished? We have thrived due to software such as MicroQS. Not all of you will remember that, WinQS and QS Plus. And it has helped us grow and develop our profession. We are still here, we are still providing invaluable services and across multiple industries, going back to the mining sector, the construction sector, and many more. Apologies, I'm jumping a bit here on the slides. So following the sports results of the weekend, personally not a big football fan, but I do follow Bafana. I don't know why after the weekend. So those who are not football fans, we lost to the Black Stars 1-0. So I've decided to go with rugby analogies to soften the pain today. Thank you, Gwen. This young lady graduated from UCT, currently working in Riyadh, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This young man is playing for the British Lions and Scotland. Sisitweya graduated from Tukkies, did his honours at Wits, and is currently working in London, and he serves on the City of London's Young Mayoral Committee. This team, made up of engineers, quantity surveyors, architects, and people from various professions, provide advice to the Mayor of London. This young man from South Africa is part of that team. Apologies, the reason I've selected this particular group of individuals is they're all very much the same age. We all know Chessie. CJ Stander, very Irish name, plays for the Irish Internationals. This young lady, Yunel, is based in Amsterdam. This young lady is in Australia. I took his apologies, a Wits graduate, and the very Japanese Labiskachni. The reason I bring this up is if we look at the rugby players in this picture, we say, congratulations, well done, you're keeping the South African brand high. When we look at the QSs, we say very often, what a loss to our country. Our young, brightest talent are moving abroad. I don't necessarily see it that way. The way I see it is this proves our educational institutions are not just doing things right, they're doing things exceptionally well. The training, the mentorship, the education our young QSs are getting in South Africa goes to prove we are amongst the best in the world. And these young QSs who have taken up opportunities overseas, just like the rugby players on these pictures, are busy carrying the name of South African QSing across the globe. I'm proud of them, these young individuals. And just as I'm proud of our rugby players that do well overseas playing for other countries. The other point that I just want to touch on in terms of these opportunities I'm referring to is in the late 90s, we saw that we as a profession in South Africa provided support for the Irish economic development. A lot of companies were servicing Irish companies and doing a lot of the legwork in South Africa. In the 2000s, it was Dubai's turn and a number of companies had small offices in Dubai, and we were doing the same out of South Africa, supporting that economic growth. There's absolutely no reason why this should not be the way we go forward. We have these people out there, we have QSs out there who are covering all the bases, who are breaking the mold within those countries and are giving South African QSs opportunities. I'm not for one moment saying, let's tell all our young QSs to go overseas. We don't want that. We've got a number of young award winners today, superstars in their own rights, top academics, and we want to keep you in South Africa. Don't get me wrong, but you need to understand that you are world-class having come through the system in South Africa. I do just want to spend a few minutes talking about Larry, who just before this, and I apologize, Larry, I am going to mention this, just before this was moaning about the fact that he's losing hair. What does he expect working with a bunch of QSs? Larry has been with the association for 10 years. His contribution has been invaluable, and we must thank him. He joined at a tough time in the association's history. He has led the association on the administrative front, engaging with multiple stakeholders across the industry, growing our interests and making sure that we as an association are recognized and one of the best associations in the country in terms of what we provide for our members. So Larry, thank you very much. And I appeal to all of our members to take cognizance of Larry's contribution, and just when you get an opportunity, thank him and just remind him of how much he has done for us. I want to finish off with the following. So I mentioned what is in a name. It is important that we remember that as quantity surveyors, we are market leaders. We are critical to governance, the efficient application of funds, both in the public and private sector. Regardless of our profession's name, be it a quantity surveyor, be it a cost manager, we are PRQSs. We have got a thorough education in the South African system. We have a number of individuals who have come from other countries, partially because they wanted to be educated here, partially because they wanted to be involved in our fantastic industry. So just remember, I'm hoping that we can debate this term of quantity surveyor going forward. Personally, I'm not too fussed what we call ourselves, so long as we are market leaders. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for putting up with me. Oni, back to you. Thank you very much.
Wow, Mr. President, thank you very much. That was quite a presentation from the change in action that you're reminding us of to the normal, which is still evolving, and the spectrum of the influence of our profession. And obviously the assertion with which we need to apply to what we do. Otherwise people will just sort of think we're mere brick counters. And also the very strong message of confidence. We really appreciate that. And lastly, but not least, and definitely strongly so, your highlighting of the rock behind the ASAQS, who happens to be Larry. Larry, thank you very much and well done. And on that note, can we welcome our Executive Director, who is going to present to us, Mr. Larry Feinberg. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And Mr. President, thank you for reminding me about my hair. I appreciate that a lot. And just on that note, you know, spending 10 years here at the association for me has happened at light speed. And it's been an absolute privilege, and it's an absolute privilege to be consistently reminded of the structures of the organization and the absolutely competent and strong leadership that we've maintained over the 10 years that I've been a part of the organization. It's been an absolute privilege. I have learned so much. I've sat through meetings where I'm in awe of the intellect around the table and how to steer certain situations and how to weigh in on certain situations and how to take positions from an association, from a professional point of view on certain situations. And my heart and my gratitude goes out to each and every president that I've served with, each and every board member that I've served with. But you've already said something, and that needs to be highlighted once more. Everything that has been done over the last 10 years could never have been achieved without the immense contribution of all the members and my staff. The staff, the team, since Carl's come on board and taken leadership and direction over and ownership over key strategic objectives and delivered them as an absolute resounding success is due only because we have such an immensely competent team behind us. So with that being said, I've got quite a lengthy presentation. I know I'm going to cut through it as quickly as possible, but I think it is important that we highlight certain aspects of what the business of the association is and how we go about doing that, to remind our members. Some of you may have heard this. It's been updated, of course, to give you some insight into the finances, to talk about the impact of COVID on our profession, on our association. What does that mean? And to show you how we, as leadership at the association, have now taken decisions to bring about a complete change in the reality, and you'll see that starting to come through as well within the presentation itself. I'm not going to delay too much longer. I'm going to go straight into my presentation. Get it up. Good. I hope you can all see that now. No, something's not.
It is up, Larry. We can see it.
It's not flipping through my slides. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Okay, I think that's working. Did you see some of those slides come up?
Correct. Yes, we moved through slides.
Okay, apologies for that delay. Thank you, Mr. President. My presentation today is going to include some, just very quickly, organizational structure of the association, which hasn't changed much. The finance, membership and collections of the association. Very importantly, the ASAQS strategy, mandate and mission, and the key strategic objectives that are set by the board, and how we go about delivering that and actually moving the association forward in many different avenues. We'll talk about membership collections again, edutech, and some marketing information. This is the organogram. One can see from the top, I report obviously to the ASAQS board as the executive director through EXCO to the board. Our edutech director, Carl Trussler, here with his capacity, which is the events coordinator and chapter and edutech events lady, which is vacant at this stage. That is a conscious decision taken up until next year, where we're going to be able to recruit the right person to take that operational and strategic direction that is now paramount within the organization to continue delivering the incredible value that edutech has now become accustomed to delivering to our members, and our members accustomed to receiving that. So this is a strategic decision that Carl is, and with his team at edutech and their committee, is now developing exactly what that job specification will be. Our membership lady is vacant. This has been moved into our debtors and control desk, which is handled by Ashika Gucharan. Ashika is doing a dual job and under quite a lot of pressure at the moment to be able to structure that, but we're looking to recruit a half-day position to take up some of that slack in the coming years. Otherwise, in the coming months. Otherwise, everything remains as is from an organizational structure point of view. Moving straight on and at a rapid clip now into our operation income and expenditure. And there's something that needs to be highlighted with respect to how this, what is on display here. You can see the income, expense, net income and stock. This is for 2018-19. This graph is 2019-20 and 2020-21. You can see the operational income declining through COVID, but at the same time, you can see our operational expenses, which are in lockstep with the operational income. And through that, the association has managed to maintain a steady budget. We've not eaten into any of our resources, our financial resources. We've got a very, very accurate cash flow and a cash flow analysis, which is updated on a monthly basis. And that goes through to our leadership to have a look at. We make concerted decisions on how best to expend the resources of the association, which again is regarded as investments in the profession. So this is always paramount and a paramount talking point within the association with respect to how best do we invest those funds to leverage the absolute best value and best returns for our members. The next slide is where we deviated on those expenses and income items through the COVID pandemic. And you can see we've broken this down into membership income, JBCC income, ASAQS expenses, edutech sales, and edutech expenses. Obviously, the first thing to highlight is that the expenses are again, declining on an annual basis. And this is in lockstep with the income, which is gradually decreasing. The edutech sales decreased substantially through the 2020 financial year. That was because we offered free webinars to all of our members. This was a way that the association leadership chose to return high value back to our members. We realized immediately that we're all in the same boat. We're all struggling financially. The pandemic is hitting us hard in our back pockets. The association was certainly not immune, but we took a decision, and the decision was based on standing shoulder to shoulder with our membership. and standing shoulder to shoulder through them, that not asking for more funds where funds were simply, hard to come by, but rather just keep on contributing and delivering on the value. And we sacrificed the income that we were receiving from our edutech and CPD functions that we were delivering. We sacrificed that, offered free CPD. This is now coming, you can see, through an expense point of view. This was very well managed by Carl, looking at the sales that we managed to do with a budget that was provided to the edutech committee, and obviously through that to Carl, in terms of how best to utilize that budgetary provision in order to provide that CPD. I'm very pleased to say that this is now on a completely different page, which I'm going to be presenting next year. And what I mean by that is the custom-made CPD provision, which I'm going to be talking a little bit more about later on in my presentation. This is our membership as we currently invoice. We've got 548 practices which we invoice. This is a large contributor to the overall revenues of the association. And although there are so few, 548 practices in comparison to the registered professionals of 1,190, it accounts for almost double the return of investment into the association. It's an incredibly important aspect of maintaining the steady resources and finances of the ASAQS. MAQS is at 618, AAQS at 151, retired at 16. The total is 2,523, excluding students. I had to add in students that would be significantly higher. This is only giving you an indication of what our base is in terms of working out what our predicted revenues will be from collections on membership. In 2018, we collected 93.22% of our membership fees, and we were celebrating. You could see by virtue of that statistic and that value, that we were certainly providing more and more value to our members. Our members were responding and paying their membership dues. Our attrition rate was probably the best amongst the entire built environment, and we were extremely proud of that as a team in terms of seeing the results of the projects that we had now brought on stream to continue to deliver that value. 2019, we lost slightly, some slight membership there, 91.88. Again, a good return of membership payments, but you could see what was already happening in industry. Industry was under strain financially and economically, and then came COVID. And COVID 2019, we still managed to bring in 84.96, almost 85% of our membership base felt that it was necessary to continue contributing to their profession, continuing to contribute to the Association of South African Quantity Surveyors and get some return on their value. And that was, for the most part, I believe, very strongly to do with our free webinar offering that we did through that year to maintain our membership. Again, having consulted with many of my colleagues in the industry, also leaders within their various professions, their statistics were quite substantially lower than ours. So we were doing well. We cut back on all of our expenses in terms of ensuring that the difference between what we predicted to bring in on membership and what was actually going to finally be realized was not going to actually affect our coffers in terms of what we had put away to be used at later stages. In 2021, and with quite some time to go, with almost 4 months to go, we're at 86.5%. And I do believe that every instinct in me and watching this trend yearly, I do believe that we're going to close just over 90% of our collections again. So you can see this is coming back on stream again. We're coming through COVID. Our membership are contributing back into the profession themselves, and hopefully receiving the expected revenue, the expected value in return. This is an interesting slide, only from the point of view of it shows you of how our entire database is segmented. We've got 13.75% students, 2.68 of the AAQSs, 15.19 MAQSs, and predominantly we're serving the registered professional quantity surveyor at 39.26. Our practices only comprise of 4% of the total membership base. This is our collections as it is in comparison to the year before. You could see practices slightly dropping between the 2 years. This is not a statistic that I'm showing you for this current financial year, but rather closed book accounts of 2021 and current 21 to 21. So in other words, this 86.5% is still going to increase, but you can see how it's comparative in terms of membership categories to preceding years. The PMAQS statistic here needs to be highlighted. 32.58% compared to 39.26% this year. We strongly believe this is an indicative of the strong take-up of the custom-made CPD value offering that we are returning to our members. The mandate or mission of the association, it needs to be highlighted again, is to maintain the highest standards, ethical codes of conduct and integrity of the profession, promote and market the quantity surveying profession, advance the common interests of its members and represent the profession at government, industry and on public forums in an advocacy role. The key strategic objectives, which are broken down, and I've included there that it's over a 3-year planning cycle from 2018, needs to be reviewed by the board. And this has already started taking place on a number of KSOs and a number of appointed board members who will be reviewing that alongside me. This is to ensure that we remain agile, that we remain effective, and obviously COVID-19 needs to be factored in now to the entire strategic planning of the association. The key strategic objectives were formulated, as I said, in 2018, which was pre-pandemic. But we've definitely managed to build the aeroplane while it's flying through the pandemic and remain very agile, very nimble, and be able to deal with all the pressures associated with that. KSO1, key strategic objective number 1 is to ensure awareness and effective communication of the ASAQS membership value proposition. KSO2, represent the association amongst key stakeholders and strengthen the association brand and industry standing. KSO3 is to target specific stakeholders and opportunities in order to significantly increase the pipeline of quantity surveying work in South Africa. KSO4, drive equitable and value-adding transformation of the ASAQS. KSO5, consolidate the EduTech offerings to an ASAQS membership and to enhance the financial sustainability of all ASAQS revenue streams. KSO6, establish a capability for research, benchmarking, and knowledge sharing in EduTech. I'm going to now go through each one of them very briefly. There's a lot to be said in each one, and believe you me, I could talk on each KSO at length for quite a long time. I've really tried to keep it into a nutshell to give our members an impression of what the inner workings are, where we spend our time, where we spend our attention, where a lot of the debates happen at board, where a lot of emphasis is and scrutiny is happening at board, what spotlights are, and how the board go about ensuring that the spotlights remain on these KSO in order to drive these values and value propositions forward. KSO1, ensuring the awareness and effective communication of the ASAQS membership value proposition. I wish I could put it up on my screen. We tried to do it on hyperlinking and everything. It just wasn't working because of the webinar environment. What it is that our team has come up with in terms of articulating a very, very complicated proposal. It's kind of like, what do you do if you're standing in an elevator and you're talking to a member to try, or a potential member, to try and bring him on board to the association? It's to compact that entire value of what the association does, both in tangible value and intangible value, into a 30-second conversation, which really pushed our limits in terms of how the committee felt and dealt with the large amount of information in order to condense that into something very, very legible. And we managed to do that. It is available. We're using that as a marketing resource now in terms of getting that out to our potential members so that they understand what the value proposition is of the association without having to read through reams and reams of paper and data. This has been completed. And once more, our marketing team is now on phase 2 of that, which is to circulate that, get it out to as many prospective members as possible, and blow the trumpet as loudly as possible in terms of what the ASAQS is able to do and how we go about delivering it. This is KSO2, representing the association amongst key stakeholders to strengthen the association brand and industry standing. This involves multiple facets of many board members, myself included, in terms of how we go about interfacing with various aspects and pillars that exist within our industry. Just to name the most important ones here, and I've probably left out some other ones, Starting off with the Council for the Quantity Surveying Profession, we liaise with them on a regular basis. We interface with them on many numerous projects, and they turn to us to assist them in many of their projects as well. National Department of Public Works, the Construction Sector Charter Council, employment equity targets and negotiations are continuing, specifically on the employment equity targets. This is only affecting much larger firms. Yet again, the association is a major player in ensuring that our voice is heard and is representing the larger firms within our profession competently and adequately. CBE, the Council for the Built Environment, we consistently liaise with them on professional fees and the entire oversight of the industry. We do that in two phases. Obviously, the first phase is with our own council. Secondly, with the CBE, Council for the Built Environment. I serve on the Council for Built Environment as a representative of the built environment professions. I've been nominated by that specific committee to represent the built environment professions on their marketing and strategic committee set up at CBE. CIDB, Construction Industry Development Board, we consistently liaise with them. One of the highlights, which is currently on the agenda at the moment, is the Register of Professionals. The handling of that I'm not going to go into in great detail in this presentation. Suffice to say the CBE is extremely unhappy with the methodologies that the CIDB has employed to move forward with this, as well as the overlap that exists between a Register of Professionals, which is the ambit of the CBE, which is now the CIDB trying to impinge on their turf. So we're waiting for that bun fight to find its way out. We've been very vocal as an association in terms of what position we have assumed and how we see this, and we certainly are siding with the CBE in this instance. The CASA, Construction Alliance South Africa, very proud to be a founding member, the first founding member of one of 5 associations that formulated CASA. It has now since grown to over 36 associations within the built environment. We set about starting this as the Rapid Response Task Team to COVID-19, interfacing with government at the time, liaising with government on how best to start the construction sites again. That was the intent and purpose of that. And it's now since just exploded outward, and really good, relevant information is coming through with the obvious emphasis on it is better to speak through a common medium of support than rather be that lone voice in the wilderness raising objectives. And that's what CASA is all about. We formulate ideas, we bring issues that are affecting the built environment together. The case in point is tendering and procurement. We talk about what are we going to do about it, who are we going to write to, how are we going to propose that we deal with issues like that. And we come together as an entire built environment, talking one language through to ministers, so they understand that this is not just through one organization or another, but it's the common language that we all support. Built Environment Professions body, which I've spoken about. JBCC, I serve on the JBCC board, Joint Building Contracts Committee. Our paramount and primary function is to ensure equitability of all participants in the built environment with respect to the context of the JBCC contract. I also serve on the strategic planning committee there, and things are certainly going to be changing in the future. One can see the amount of electronic documents that are being sold through JBCC as opposed to the normal standard hard copies. The hard copy sales are falling while the electronic copies are growing. And I think that should be a signal to everybody out in the industry, if you don't know it already, that there's been a definite aggressive move by industry to start adopting the electronic formats of JBCC documentation. PAQS, Pacific Association of Quantity Surveyors, that are privileged to belong now as an associate member of the PAQS, an international body which is in, they wouldn't like me to say this, but the way that I see it is almost as an alternative to the RICS. The RICS will always have this place. They are the international and the buck stop here international organization, but the PAQS is making significant inroads in galvanizing all the associations in the Asia Pacific area, starting with China, India, Asia, Indonesia, Australia, all the paramount large associations there into having a commonality and developing technical documentation that is of interest and pertinence to the entire quantity surveying profession worldwide. And then the RICS, which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Targeting specific opportunities and stakeholders to significantly increase the pipeline of work in South Africa. This is always paramount. This is one of the intangible benefits of how the association operates, almost silently in the background, ensuring that we weigh in and have a voice on all the appropriate legislation that would allow an increase in quantity surveying work. One of the primary areas of focus for the association has been and will remain so for the foreseeable future, that we are canvassing that every project, no matter what the value, that government issues a tender on, needs to have a qualified, registered, professional quantity surveyor having oversight on. National Department of Public Works and Treasury, obviously the legislation, this is two of the government institutions that we liaise with on a regular basis. What is nice now and what has changed is that CASA has stepped into a role where we're not all running as separate entities to Treasury, not all running as separate entities to National Department of Public Works, but rather having a caucus in the background through CASA and developing strategies, developing proposals, and then sending that through to Treasury and National Department of Public Works for review. Africa Association of Quantity Surveyors, we continue to have a strong presence there. Again, I serve on the Strategic Planning Committee for the AAQS, and the objective there is to standardize all professional documentation for use across Africa. I've just been told that I've only got 5 minutes left and I've got quite a way to go, so I'm going to have to rush through this now. Please bear with me and I apologize in advance. Drive equitable and value-adding transformation of the association. In a nutshell, development and adoption of a comprehensive ASAQS transformation policy that involves the entire profession as well as the association staff complement itself, has been resolved and passed by the ASAQS board. Engagement with SACQSP to develop training initiatives to assist all candidate quantity surveyors with assistance and training of all the skills modules. I'm going to talk to that through the last remaining slides of my presentation. And then KSO 5 and KSO 6, I will talk to it much greater detail in the following slides. Give you a heads up what it's all about and how we planned by design to deliver the value coming out of EduTech is to consolidate EduTech offerings to ASAQS members to enhance the financial sustainability of the association's revenue streams and establish a capability for research benchmarking and knowledge sharing in EduTech. What this is about is custom-made CPD, which has been absolutely a resounding success. I've already said. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means. It, in a nutshell, means that every one of our professional members, every one of our members, and every association out there is also able, at a slightly different rate, because we offer preferential rates to our members for this. For 750 Rand on an annual fee, for once off, you're able to get all the value that is wrapped up in the program of delivery of webinars and technical programs for our professional members and for our profession itself. I'll talk to this by highlighting what it says at the top. Over 20 webinars were done and delivered through the program. That equated to 66 CPD hours. And for 750 Rand, you were able to take your pick of over 20 webinars to join to get that derived value out of 750 Rand. If we calculate what it costs per CPD hour, what we were offering pre-COVID for our webinars, you take 27,000 Rand, you divide it by 66, it equates to 450 Rand per CPD hour. That's 1 hour, 460 Rand. And for 750 Rand, you're now able to receive 66 total CPD hours and take your pick of an incredible value proposition, and one which Carl spends an enormous amount of time refining and ensuring that it's absolutely delivered competently by the best people out there in the industry. So an incredible value for money. I'm not going to harp on this anymore. 1,477 members chose to support this valuation. That comes in to 89% of our total membership base of professional members. So a huge thank you. And I applaud every single one of our professional members for realizing the importance of CPD and allowing the association the privilege of providing you the bespoke CPD that you need. You don't have to turn to any other third providers, outsourced providers. We are able to deliver that for you. You know what you're going to get. You know what to expect. It's thoroughly accredited, thoroughly vetted, and I think of an outstanding quality. Just judging from the feedback we get on every webinar from all of our members, it's one of the, I cannot put into words how proud I am of our EduTech team for providing this value for money. And I think that comes through our members and the gratitude that they have written to Carl about, which I've seen. EduTech statistics. 972 members attended our webinars as a PMAQS. That composed 65% of our CPD component of members who actually attended were 972 PMAQSs. MAQSs 302, and that broke down to 1,477 members. EduTech operational turnover, webinars accounted for 82% of the turnover through EduTech, obviously through the 750 Rand annual fee. Candidates composed 3% because we offer skills module training to them. Accreditations, we offer accreditation opportunities to anybody out there in industry who wants to or believes they have a worthy cause that will be of interest to our profession. Carl vets it, Carl researches it, and ensures that it is fit for purpose before providing that accreditation. It comes with a fee that involved 6% of the revenues there, and obviously no conference this year, which is sad, and we're hoping to once the pandemic is over, to reintroduce that component. Keeping our professionals on the cutting edge. This is the amount and our reach right through. What we've done there is 6,024 through 2020 and 21. Registered professionals engaged with our services, 4,107 engaged with our services on CPD this year. And candidate QSs to professional QSs is the next step, and then one in which I said I'd speak a little bit about later. This is the next emphasis, which is what we're developing now. It's going to cut across a number of our key strategic objectives, one of which is transformation, and one of which is releasing the backlog of candidates that are stuck in a bottleneck situation with council unable to progress to get their professional status or registered professional PRQS status with council. They have to undertake a number of skill modules, as I'm sure you understand, and have been well faced with through your own professional day-to-day activities. The association is stepping into this realm. We're making proposals to the council in which we are going to develop training courses at a significantly reduced value through to all council candidates, and hopefully council will embrace this. It's gone through a number of processes already at council, a number of different levels, all the way up to EXCO, and seems like it's now poised to start in 2022 in earnest. This will involve what we can offer, and what we do offer right now for our candidates is 3 candidate QSs webinar as an onboarding, 3 per annum of 2 hours each. That just onboards into what they can expect through the year. The APC pre-interview webinar, 2 of those per annum. Old PSM pre-exam webinars, 18 per annum. New PSM pre-exam webinars, 12 per annum, and CPD in category 1 and 2 webinars, 50+ hours available. From marketing, this is just where we've appeared throughout the industry. At one time or another through the course of the year, we've had articles published, we've been interviewed, we've spoken up about quantity surveying on numerous different aspects. I'm not going to go into more detail. There's a few more slides here. I'm going to pause there. I think I've spoken enough. And I think our members out there are re-looking at the entire value proposition of the association, what it is that we do, how it is we go about our business, and how it is that we deliver that business on a continual and consistent ongoing basis. I thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Executive Director. I see we've got 2 questions. I think the first one was that apparently it's only ladies, that there are vacancies for only ladies. I think this was tongue-in-cheek question. Would you like to make a comment on that? That is it only ladies where you've got vacancies?
We certainly not. If I mentioned ladies, it was accidental, only because my mind was probably on the fact that it was filled by a lady in the previous instance, but it's certainly not gender specific by any means.
Okay. And then the next question there is, what about ASAQS members in International Cost Engineering Council?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and one in which the association has weighed in absolutely heavily through the past 2 or 3 years. Carl is now the secretary of the committee that is formulated by the RICS in combination with the PAQS. Carl is steering that as now one of the main leadership members on that committee. I'll leave it to Carl. He's got the more inside track, and I'm happy to ask Carl to step in here and talk about when the release dates are and so forth on the technical components. But I'd like to assure the members that we have represented our profession incredibly well and honestly there through Carl's participation.
I don't know whether Carl, you want to comment?
Yes, thank you. I think the question is directed to the International Cost Engineering Council, and maybe you understood it to be the RCMS, Larry. So the RCMS would be different, but the International Cost Engineering Council, if I recall, we had an MOU with them which determined how ASAQS members could also become members of the IECC, and it was being reviewed. I remember you were speaking to a certain gentleman by the name of Peter about revising that agreement. But I think maybe the answer to this is that ASAQS membership, there is a possibility to also enjoy membership with International Cost Engineering Council. There is some criteria involved, and I certainly don't have it available right now, but we could access that criteria and provide it to whoever is asking the questions.
Yeah, maybe I can contribute a little bit more. There's always been an existing agreement, and the Association of South African Quantity Surveyors is a member of ASAQ. Sorry, I did get confused there, but Carl, I'd like you to come back to the RCMS as well. The ASAQ has been quite silent over the course of the pandemic, and normally what happens is they offer once every 2 years a conference, which is attended by normally by the president of the ASAQS. We're members, we have an alliance with them, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that they are a very large heavyweight within the entire worldwide international quantity surveying profession. They certainly are there. They make themselves very aware. They weigh in on many different aspects of developing technical papers and so forth. But they certainly are a little bit more quiet than the RICS and some of the others out there. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to talk a little bit about the RCMS for our members, please?
Certainly, I'd like to. The RCMS stands for the International Cost Management Standards, and we have run 2 webinars, one in 2020 and one recently in 2021, on an update on the RCMS. And what the RCMS has done is they've developed a global standard for cost reporting. Firstly, RCMS 1 is on construction costs, RCMS 2 is on operational costs, and they've recently released RCMS 3, which is reporting on carbon emissions. And to tell you, the introduction of this global reporting template for carbon emissions has suddenly added impetus and momentum to the entire project, because quantity surveyors now can produce cost reports, provide cost information on the capital cost, the upfront construction cost, on the operational cost, the life cycle cost, which means you're now reporting on the whole life of infrastructure. And then you can add the carbon emissions component to, firstly, the capital cost, construction cost side, and secondly, to the operational side. So you're also reporting on carbon emissions or reporting on the carbon footprint for the whole life of a building. With us being in a situation to provide that kind of service, while at the moment the whole world is interested in reducing carbon emissions, it's the race to net zero. Everybody is looking at how to green their buildings, and they're all doing this because there's increasing pressure coming on a global scale for this to happen. So while this is happening, RCMS is well placed to provide the global cost reporting templates and the global carbon emissions reporting templates. So we are going, as the ASAQS, just to give you some, give you a view into 2022. In 2022, we're going to run a track as part of our CPD program, which is going to be, we could call it In Pursuit of Net Zero. And what we will do is we'll tackle this subject full on. It'll include the RCMS, but at the end of the year, I'd like to think that we would have researched all the information available to us in terms of the carbon emissions, all the software available to us, and focused it in a way that it is user-friendly to us as a profession, and so that we can offer this kind of service to our clients. Just by the way, even the financial institutions are now not only looking at returns in terms of infrastructure, in terms of letting infrastructure, they're looking at what is the carbon footprint, because based on the carbon footprint will determine how much funding they're prepared to provide for a project. So funding is linked to carbon emissions. So if we are doing feasibility studies and providing returns, we also need to be doing feasibility studies which in parallel provide the carbon footprint for the projects. So it's a must do. We can't avoid this one. This is something to walk through. And as our president said earlier on, the whole thing about evolving, here is a perfect example of a place that we need to evolve into and even beyond. So very exciting. That's international cost management standards. It provides global reporting templates for us to make use of. Thank you, Ani.
Thank you very much, Carl and Larry, for that. Just one creative QS, instead of putting their questions under question answers, they put them on the comment section, and I happened to notice that one. I think the question was, is there any time frame relating to KPIs?
Yes, there are, and you could see that it needs to be revised every 3 years in the first instance. But in terms of time frames, the board and the various committees that are associated with each one of those KSOs. And what I mean by that is the president assigns certain board members into each KSO in order to push forward the deliverables within each KSO. So within a 3-year time frame is how we progress it. And if we reach those milestones, then we carry on, and with the committee input, we best determine how best to now continue with the momentum gained through that delivery, or to move the attention elsewhere, because it's a moving target, as you would well know. You can't just rely on one strategy. It needs to be a moving target throughout those years. So sometimes even what's in the KSO document takes on a new project that literally we feel is just more priority than the one before, and our attention will focus, our resources will be devoted towards that. I did see your comment in the commentary in the chat box on the side, and I thought that was very interesting. And certainly it is something that we can probably be a little bit more aggressive on in setting time frames and putting everybody within those committees under a little bit more pressure in order to produce. It does wax and wane sometimes, and attention does wander with respect to what is priority at that specific time and what is targetable during that specific time. So having something like that included in the overall strategic approach, once we revise it now, which is due, I would definitely consider as a very good input. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Well, indeed, like we say, that time flies when you're having fun or when you are very busy. Just sort of listening to your presentation, Larry, and the amount of things that you had to say, I almost asked myself that one can say, whilst you were on lockdown and whilst you were under load shedding, this is what we were doing. And one really wondered whether you were affected by any of those things. But it's certainly great, sterling job and efforts. No wonder something has happened to your hair. I think it is highly appreciated that you and your team have done extremely, extremely well. There are 8 areas, and the insight into the workings of the association under the current circumstances, I think it's highly commendable. If I listen to what you're talking about the CBE, the CASA, it's really sterling. I mean, the RIC, the RICS, and the ICMS, it really sort of shows that, guys, you have really, like the president was saying, that we are highly marketable as South African quantity surveyors. It's because a lot of work has been put into this thing, and we really appreciate and thank you very much, Larry.
Oni, you're more than
Carl,
welcome. And just as a, sorry, I thought you were finished. Oni, just as a parting comment, is that if I have to look back over my shoulder over 10 years, I think that it's just been a progressive increase in the association now flexing its muscles, owning its space unapologetically as a profession, weighing in where we need to weigh in unapologetically, taking criticism when criticism is made, absolutely fine with us. We like criticism, we react to criticism in a very positive way, and we just continue to do what we do and keep our focus on delivering what we're delivering and being present where we need to be present. And that has been the team effort and the focus from day one when I stepped into this role, from one board to the next, and that is a baton that is passed down by the leadership of the ASAQS. And I commend everybody, every participant on that. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much. When the question comes across to say, what does the association do? Thank you very much for shedding that lots of light. And I assume that it is also a call for participation for members to come forward and be part and parcel of this interesting initiative. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have now come to a stage where we've got to appreciate that for us to carry on growing and to make sure our profession remains in existence, is the youngsters that we do have. So we've now come to a part where we give recognition to our youngsters in study facilities. Recognition obviously is a way of encouragement and motivation. I would like at this point in time to hand over to Carl to take us through the recognition with the various awards that are up and our finalists that are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Oni. Well, everyone, this is a really important time for our young students. We, as the association, have made it our business to honor our students, and those that have excelled is to recognize that and to encourage them to continue doing the good work, because they are going to become the future leaders of this profession here in South Africa and beyond. And so we would like to be part of that process. So firstly, what I'd like to do is to introduce the finalists to you. We have 3 awards to grant this afternoon. The first one is the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Great Outcomes Award. The second one is the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Future Leaders Award. And then finally, the ASAQS Gold Medal Award. We have, as I said, 5 finalists, and I'd like to mention them to you, and I'd like them to come onto the screen and just say hello to you so you can put a face to a name before we proceed any further. Our first finalist is not able to join us today because she's actually busy writing an exam. So priority-wise, I would imagine that is more important to her right now. So our first finalist is Yolandi de Beer from the University of the Free State. I'll read a bit about her a little later on, but she's not here with us, but just to acknowledge her. And then the next finalist is Anita Ferger. And Anita, if you wouldn't mind coming onto the screen and just saying hi to everyone.
Everyone, thank you for having me here.
There we are. Thank you, Anita. Well done. So that's Anita. Anita's from the University of Cape Town, one of the finalists. Another finalist is Mohammed Nusib, who is tuned in all the way from Mauritius. Mohammed, if you'd greet the folks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all enjoying this show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. The next finalist is Yanita Fave from Nelson Mandela University.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Good to have you here too. And then lastly, but not least, is Nicole Moss from the University of the Free State.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here.
Good. Thank you, Nicole. All right. So those are our finalists. I'd like to introduce you to two other persons. We have two young quantity surveyors who are going to be congratulating the winners for the two awards, the Great Outcomes Award and the Future Leaders Award. And I thought that they should introduce themselves. So the first young person from Turner and Townsend who is going to congratulate the winner for the Great Outcomes Award is Ntabiseng Motlale. Ntabiseng, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Paul. Thank you so much. Can you just confirm that you can see and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ntabiseng Motlale, and I'm a junior quantity surveyor at Turner and Townsend. It's really such an honor to be back on the ASAQS platform. The association has always played a very instrumental role in my personal and professional development, and it still continues to do so for those that have come up behind me. So being afforded this chance to present this award, it's sort of given me a chance to look back and reflect on my own journey so far. So just a quick summary about myself. I won't be too quick. I completed my quantity surveying honors at Wits University in 2019. And in that year, I had the huge honor of being the chairperson of the ASAQS Wits student chapter, which is a chapter started for students, by students, in an effort to promote the quantity surveying profession. So we addressed all sorts of challenges faced by QS students and created an enabling environment for those QS students, be it professionally and academically through bursary and recruitment fairs, or finding vacation work for our members, or academically and socially through tutoring and various social responsibility programs. So under my guidance and leadership, students were able to broaden, their knowledge about the profession, while we assisted them in their development to becoming competent professionals, along with the assistance of the ASAQS. So in my efforts of promoting the chapter and the QS profession, I was fortunate enough to have been provided the opportunity to be part of the Turner and Townsend graduate program, which was an offer I could not refuse. As a multinational company that provides various professional services, I knew that I would be getting the best learning experience with highly skilled professionals. So TNT has always recognized and developed young talent and is a massive driver for transformation. And this is reflected in our company ethos and, in the sponsorship of these awards. So I started as a student QS at TNT, and I'm currently a junior quantity surveyor in the mining and metals division, and I'm almost halfway through with my candidacy. So, however, my term and my time at Wits and my term and success as chair of the ASAQS and my ultimate career progression at TNT, it was not an overnight result. As a student, I was very goal-oriented, and I had to give up, certain parts of my normal life and what I sort of enjoyed to achieve all my academic and professional goals, because I realized at a very early stage in my years of study, the importance of creating a social environment that would have to be conducive of the career and the future that I had envisioned. So I attended various networking events hosted within our school and various industry bodies in an effort to associate myself with people who were moving in the same direction as I would like. So to those that are currently completing their studies and are up and coming in the industry, I would say you have to be relentless in the pursuit of your goals, because no one will really give you those opportunities. You have to sort of create them yourself and take charge of your career. Today, I get to work on, some of the biggest mining and metals projects in the country because of that discipline and that relentlessness. So to all the nominees of the Special Outcomes Award, you have put in the work and you've proven yourself academically. Now is the time when the real work begins. Continue to work hard and never, ever doubt yourself or your capabilities. Congratulations to all the nominees. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you very much, Ntabiseng. Muaz Limbada is also going to be congratulating the Future Leaders Award today. Muaz is from Turner and Townsend. Muaz, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell us a little about yourself?
Sure, no problem, Carl. Good afternoon, all. As Carl mentioned, my name is Muaz Limbada. Just give a brief background to myself. Firstly, I just want to say what a massive honor it is to present the Future Leaders Award at the ASAQS. My journey to the profession started with Turner and Townsend as a student quantity surveyor, where I worked part-time whilst completing my honors degree at WITS. When I was completed with my honors degree, I was fortunate enough to be selected on the Turner and Townsend Graduate Development Program, where I worked closely with several project leads, quantity surveyors, while honing, developing, and learning my skills in the professional. So to say, to date, I'm currently intermediate quantity surveyor at Turner and Townsend in the real estate department. Currently working on several different types of projects, such as office fit-outs, infrastructure projects, retail projects, data centers, as well as refurbishments, as well as for some highly recognizable clients, such as GrowthPoint.
We've just lost Muaz there for a second. Muaz, don't worry, we'll get you back to finish up a little later on when we get to the Future Leaders Award. So let's move on with the program. Right. Great, there we are. So Muaz, we'll get you back a little later on when we do the Future Leaders Award. But for now, let's continue with the program. So the first award today is the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Great Outcomes Award. Before I go there, I would like to just step back a little bit and just say this, that the adjudication of the Gold Medal Awards was undertaken by the Bursary, Prizes and Awards Committee, comprising of experienced professional quantity surveyors drawn from across South Africa. The decision reached is final, and that applies to not only the Gold Medal Award, but the Great Outcomes Award and the Future Leaders Award. I am part of this committee, and I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Oni Liwayo, Mrs. Christelle Baun, and Mr. Dion Vermeulen, under the able chairmanship of Mr. Ian Moss, for their dedication and commitment to this important task. So the decision has been carefully taken. A lot of work has gone into arriving at the decision, and the decision is final, and we are confident that it's absolutely the right decision in each case. So the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Great Outcomes Award is awarded at national level to one student who is currently studying towards becoming a quantity surveyor. The student must have completed their second year of undergraduate studies in 2020 with outstanding academic results. Nominations are invited from all SAC-QSP accredited tertiary academic institutions. Academically, nominees are required to meet the following criteria to be eligible for consideration of this award. The nominees should have completed their first and second year of undergraduate studies in the minimum number of years without failing or repeating any subject. They should have obtained an average mark exceeding 75% for each year of study, and they should have obtained an average mark exceeding 75% for the 2 years of study combined. And so the winner of this award is an interesting person. She was schooled in Bloemfontein. She already has a BSc Physics degree, majoring in engineering studies. She's currently studying quantity surveying at the University of the Free State. She plays netball, and she does oval track racing. And her position is second in the Lexus Class Club and 7th in the South African National Championships. So I didn't know what oval track racing was. I thought, is this on foot? Is it bicycles? Is it motorbikes? Is it cars? I Googled it, and it's oval dirt track motorcar racing, like serious stuff. So this lady does this, and she says this about herself. She says, I'm an honest person with good morals. I am talkative. I'm a great listener, a good communicator, very empathetic and considerate, and I always try to help people. So really makes an interesting person there. She has a number of great achievements, achieved 6 matric distinctions, and she's been the best student in her first and second year of studies. And in future, she wants to do an honors in quantity surveying. She wants to work as a quantity surveyor and wants to get involved in the community program and projects. And this award goes to Yolandi de Beer of the University of the Free State. As I said, she is not present with us today, but she is the winner. And Ntabiseng, for the sake of the recording, would you please congratulate Yolandi?
Oh, congratulations, Yolandi. I wish she was actually here to tell us more about, that activity that she did. Congratulations, Yolandi. It's unfortunate that you couldn't make it, but on behalf of TNT, we'd like to congratulate you on your hard work. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Carl.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. There we are. So that's Yolandi. We'll be in touch with Yolandi. So that just those, if she's got friends and family listening, just to tell her that Turner and Townsend will be in touch with her to take things further. There are prizes and awards, obviously, and these will also be discussed after this event. So let's move on now to the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Future Leaders Award. The criteria for this award: it's awarded annually at national level to 1 BSc quantity surveying graduate, as well as 1 national diploma building graduate. These graduates should have completed their undergraduate studies in 2020 with outstanding academic results. And again, nominations are invited from all SACQSP accredited tertiary academic institutions. And just to say to you that this year we did not receive any nominations from the universities of technology, so we only have a finalist for the BSc quantity surveying course. So academically, nominees should have met the following criteria to be eligible for consideration of this award. The nominee should have completed their undergraduate studies in the minimum number of years without failing or repeating any subject. They should have obtained an average mark exceeding 75% for each year of study, and should have obtained an average mark exceeding 75% for the 3 years of study combined. And our winner, and you may know this person, this lady, because she's been on the screen here before with us last year, and studying at University of Cape Town, went to school in Fishhook. What a great place to go to school. She enjoys things like scuba diving, free diving, spear fishing, belongs to the mountain and ski club. Sounds like she does all sorts of things, an all-rounder. She says of herself, I'm a dedicated and hardworking woman who prides myself in my proactive approach to life. My experience as a manager has taught me excellent leadership and teamwork skills. And just to tell you her experience as a manager, she worked for a couple of years before she started studying. So she's gained some really good experience about life, but that experience stands her in good stead and helps her to be an excellent leader and be part of a team. She says, I sometimes find myself getting slightly impatient when working with others. My desire is to achieve excellence. My desire to achieve excellence comes with being critical of myself and perhaps too detail orientated. Gratefully, experience has taught me to learn from my mistakes. I love sports and the outdoors, as well as challenging myself constantly. So there's all sorts of leadership notes in her CV. She's clearly a leader, is a class representative, student representative, academic tutor, captain for sports teams, water polo and swimming, hockey. And achievements include the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Great Outcomes Award last year, the Belgian Prize for the Best All-Round Student, the ASAQS Student Prizes, MBA Prizes, Dean's Merit List, and the list goes on. I'm not going to read them all. Full academic colors, full sports colors. Work experience includes working in Brussels, Belgium, on the Mediterranean, in Switzerland, in Cape Town, etc., etc. Currently working as a quantity surveyor in Cape Town, QS intern with Smith & Company Quantity Surveyors. And what is her future? She wants, after completing her studies she plans to further her education and study a Bachelor of Science Honours in Quantity Surveying at the University of Cape Town, which is a good thing to do. And following that, she plans to move abroad and enter a graduate program there. And at the end of all of this, hopefully one day, will open her own firm. So the winner of the Future Leaders Award is Anita Ferger from the University of Cape Town. So Muaz, if you would congratulate Anita.
Congratulations, Anita. On behalf of Turner and Townsend, I'd like to congratulate you. What some really fantastic achievements. And I wish you all the best for your exams going forward, as well as your career in the future. And being in the industry, I'm pretty sure our paths will cross somewhere in the near future. So yeah, once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Muaz. Anita, would you like to just come on and say a few words?
Everyone, thank you, Maz, for the introduction, and Carl, actually, from ASAQS, and the rest of the board and the committee for the award. And thank you to the UCT department for the nomination. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Anita. Well done. If you keep on doing this, we might see you again next year. So well done to you. Okay, so those are now the two awards behind us, the Turner and Townsend and ASAQS Great Outcomes and Future Leaders Awards. Next is the Gold Medal Awards. This is an award given on a national level to the top achieving quantity surveying students. The Gold Medal Award for Outstanding Academic Achievement during the 2020 academic year. It's awarded at national level to graduates in their final academic year, whose academic achievements are of outstanding merit and whose personal qualities promise to positively contribute to the profession. Academically, nominees should have completed their studies in the minimum number of years without failing or repeating any subject. They should have obtained an average mark exceeding 75% for all years of study, made up of an average mark exceeding 75% for the first 3 years of study combined, plus an average mark exceeding 75% for the fourth and final year of study. Other assessment criteria includes extramural activities, contribution to community, social responsibility, personality, character, leadership qualities, and achievements. And the weighting applied is 60% for academic achievement and 40% for all other assessment criteria. We have 3 finalists in no particular order. They are Anita Ferger from Nelson Mandela University, Nicole Moss from the University of the Free State, and Mohammed Nusib from the University of Cape Town. They have all achieved the academic requirements with a weighted average for all years of study in excess of 75%. That's a major achievement. All have scored well above average on all the other assessment criteria as well. Therefore, they will all receive an equal cash prize, and they will all receive a giraffe trophy. Now, you may not have seen this trophy before, or maybe you have, but it's a beautiful trophy. It's a giraffe, and we will make sure that you get it. And the purpose of this giraffe is that it sends the following message, that you stand head and shoulders above the rest. Just like a giraffe is tall, you also stand tall, both academically and in terms of your extramural activities. So you will all receive a cash prize, all receive a giraffe, but only one will receive a gold medal. And the question is, who is that person? So let's see who the winner is. And let me say this, the winner is fluent in French, Urdu, Hindi, Mauritian Creole, and English. He plays futsal and captained the futsal Blaze team in the UCT Futsal League. What is futsal? Well, futsal is a type of soccer that is played indoors on a much smaller court. The smaller field size ensures a game of futsal is fast-paced and more intense, with more opportunity for goal scoring. So there we are. Personality and character. The winner says, I see myself as a confident, technical-minded and focused professional with a strong work ethic and passion for the construction industry. I put myself through concerted effort over the years to develop a self-starter attitude, both on the job and in my personal life. One area that I could work on is my delegation skills. My concern for things to be done to a high standard and on time has led me to a mentality of, if you want it done right, do it yourself. Nevertheless, I've learned how to delegate and improve my management style when I was tasked with managing my fellow classmates after being voted as the CEO of a fictitious quantity surveying company for UCT's simulated office project. Well done. And that's the right thing to do. We do need to learn how to delegate, because that's what team's all about. We can always, together, each of us do more. All right. He has made a massive contribution to community in a number of areas: food distribution, founding member of a cultural group, has done peer tutoring. He's been the head tutor and the CEO of the Simulated Office Project. In terms of academic achievements, it is a very long list, and I can't read the entire list, but I can tell you it's highly impressive. It goes all the way from 2020 back to 2013. And if I just read 2020, last year he won the ASAQS and Turner Townsend Future Leaders Award. He got the Quantity Surveying Honours Class Medal, the ASAQS Chapter Committee Prize, and plus the ASAQS Prize, the Bernard James and Partners Prize, the Grinnicker LTA Book Prize, and the Dean's Merit List for his achievements, and carries on. He graduated with distinction for a BSc in Construction Studies, carries on Class Medal, Belgian Prize, then Clay Brick Association Prize, and Barter Walsons and Simpson Prize, and you can go on and on. Academic prizes, equally impressive. Okay, work experience. He has previously been a trainee at OCAL Limited, and currently he has now been promoted to Assistant Quantity Surveyor. His plans for the future: he wants to complete his APC program to qualify as a PRQS, to graduate, and then he wishes to undertake BIM and green building accreditation courses, as he believes that this will shape the quantity surveying profession in the future. And Mohammed, you're right. I agree with you. Those are two. There are a number of other areas. It's not the only two, but those two are primary and very important for your future. So the Gold Medal Award for 2021 is awarded to Mohammed Nasib. Keith, if you would congratulate, if our president would congratulate Mohammed.
Carl, thank you very much. I'd like to take the opportunity, just before we get on to Gold Medal Awards, just to congratulate the other two award winners as well. It is an achievement worth noting that you have won these awards out of all of the institutions in the country, and I trust that you've taken note of the various points in terms of discussion, that the world is your oyster, so to speak. Please don't leave us in South Africa, but the profession is in good hand with youngsters like Anita and Yolandi, and apologies for referring to you as youngsters, but yes, when you get to my age, you are. And certainly colourful quantity surveyors coming through, not the grey individuals that we are so commonly seen as, but interesting pastime and activities. So well done. Mohammed, yes, a huge achievement, a gold medal. Coincidentally, I was having breakfast on the weekend with an old colleague of mine, or ex-colleague of mine, should I say, and the topic came off of who won the gold medal in 1990. So this is something that does stick with you in your career, and it is an achievement. And I am fully conscious of how competitive it is, and thank you to Ian Moss and the team. I know it's no easy choice or easy exercise to make a decision at the end of the day when you're comparing candidates that are so highly skilled and coming through the system. So Unita, Nicole, yes, I suppose not getting the gold medal is a little bit of a blow, but well done nonetheless. It is a huge achievement just to get to that list of the final 3. But over and above that, Mohammed, well done, congratulations, all the best in your further studies. And I must echo Cole's sentiment. Certainly green building and BIM are the way of the future for us. And yes, keep on evolving. It is the QS profession of the future. Thank you, and congratulations to all the winners.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. So if I can move on to the first runner-up, we have a first runner-up and second runner-up for the gold medal. So that let's run through that. And the first runner-up, and she writes very eloquently. She says the following thing about her strength. She says, "I'm a persistent hard worker who views the quality of my work as a reflection of my character. I am ambitious and I put consistent effort into my work to ensure that I achieve my goals. I am a compassionate and authentic person who relies on effective communication and respect to build strong relationships. I can stay calm in stressful situations. My greatest qualities are being trustworthy, reliable, disciplined, and resilient." Also speaks of her weaknesses. One of her weaknesses, I place a lot of pressure on myself to do everything perfectly. I look at my colleagues and I want the knowledge and experience that they have so that I can excel in my job. Unfortunately, experience only comes with time, and I have to learn to be more patient with myself. I set high standards for myself personally and professionally, and when I feel I'm not measuring up to it, I can be overly critical of myself. So her solution to that is that she needs to accept help when it's offered and not feel like she's always expected to know everything. And those are wide words, exactly the right thing. You're quite right. She has a passion for helping elderly people. She has been a netball captain, a prefect, a student mentor, and student assistant. She has a number of achievements, obviously, huge amount of achievements. Passing construction, BSc Construction Economics cum laude, BSc Honours, Quantity Surveying cum laude, and also is a recipient of the ASAQS Turner and Townsend Great Outcomes Award in the past. Her plans for the future: she wants to register professional quantity surveyor, and she also plans to pursue her MSc Built Environment and Project Management degree at Nelson Mandela University to expand her horizons. And for her treatise, I found this interesting, for her treatise, she researched the relationship between personality and conflict handling styles amongst quantity surveying professionals. As an extension of my research, I'm also interested in doing the negotiation and conflict resolution short course at the University of Cape Town. Well, you do that because we continually have disputes in the construction industry. There's no shortage of disputes. So if you do that, you're going to make a big difference to the profession. And the first runner-up is Janita Verwey of Nelson Mandela University. Mr. President, would you like to add something at this point?
Thanks, Cole. Yes, well done, Janita, and congratulations. I had the privilege of engaging with Janita when she won the award previously, the Turner Townsend ASAQS award previously. A young up-and-coming quantity surveyor, and all the best in your future. I do a question that desire to further the project management side of your career, but all the best. Just joking, Anita. All the best in your future, and well done.
Here we are. Well done. Anita, would you like to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I had a bit of connection problems here, but yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor and privilege to represent the profession, and I'm looking forward to see where this profession takes me. Good.
That's good. And well done to you again. Well done. All right. And then we can move on to the second runner-up. And the second runner-up enjoys playing hockey. She's achieved provincial selection. She swims and has swum the mid-mile mile on more than one occasion. And that's quite an achievement. That dam depends on the conditions. If there's no wind, it's really nice to swim. If there's a lot of wind and waves, it's a lot more of a challenge. But well done. Anybody that swims a mid-mile mile is a hero in my eyes. And then she has made a habit of earning distinctions. She really knows how to do it. In matric, she earned 3 distinctions. In the first year of study, she earned 9 distinctions. In her second year of study, she earned 6 distinctions. And in her third year of study, another 6 distinctions. She's involved in community work, especially with cancer. And she says this about herself, which is just really sincere. She's hardworking and a loyal candidate quantity surveyor, eager to gain as much knowledge as possible, passionate about the building industry and motivated to continue being loyal and an asset to her team. She works hard in everything she does with diligence and utmost respect to all others. Strength, she is a fast learner, dedicated to her work, and is a great team player. Her weaknesses, she tends to be shy at first, but this allows her to focus on the task at hand, and once she's comfortable with the environment, then thrives within the team. Very good words, and I understand that very clearly. Her achievements, in addition to all the distinctions, she graduated her BSc Honours degree with distinction. She graduated her BSc QS degree with distinction. She was a successful candidate for the University of Free State Postgraduate School Honours Bursary and received an academic merit bursary from the University of Free State in all 4 years of study. Her plans for the future, as a recently registered quantity surveyor, she will continue to work hard in her current position, part of the newly formed measuring studio in ASAQS SA. Working with my managers and colleagues to build up to this one-of-a-kind division in South Africa, ACOM companies to the best of its ability and continually providing good quality of work to the Middle East clients. Right, this is what our president spoke about earlier on about doing work in South Africa for other parts of the world. Nicole says, I hope to further gain valuable experience in the industry to qualify as a professional quantity surveyor and eventually start my own firm, contributing to the development of my home country, South Africa. Currently employed at ACOM. Our second runner-up is Ms. Nicole Moss. Mr. President.
Thanks, Carl. Nicole, congratulations. Just to reiterate what I'd said earlier, that achieving the finalists in the gold medal category is an exceptional achievement. So well done. And yes, some good ambitions, interesting ambitions there, looking to develop the industry and the profession in South Africa. So please reach out. You'll have support from a number of our members, and look forward to seeing how you develop in the next few years in your career. Congratulations.
Yeah. Would you like to say something, Nicole?
Yes, thank you very much to ASAQS and even Prof. Kailu for nominating me at UFS. It's a great, great honor. Thank you.
There we are. Thank you, Nicole. I'm glad to see you warmed up and were quite comfortable in chatting to us. Thank you. Okay, so there we are, folks. We're done with the award ceremony, and just a final congratulations to all. Just an honor for us as the ASAQS to be part of this process, and we thoroughly enjoy supporting you in every way that we can. Over to you, Mr. MC.
Carl, thank you very much. Maybe just to confirm, Mohammed, had he said all his bits, because I think there was a bit of connection problems. I don't know whether he still wants to say something about himself.
Is that Muaz?
Oh, thanks. I'd just like to say thank you to the ASAQS, to everyone from the CM department at UCT and all those who helped me. And I can't wait to see the giraffe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Carl, for handling this part of the afternoon, which is obviously a culmination of all the effort that has gone into this. It's really nothing which touches like recognition. When you give recognition, it's like that fertilizer that encourages growth. And at least when you know people are watching and are noticing, that's the best that you can do as a form of support. Our great appreciation is going to go to sponsors, Turner & Townsend, carry on with the good work. We really appreciate, which really, again, is a form of support and recognition to the efforts that the ASAQS is putting into these efforts. and also the universities that have participated. This, at the tail end like this, when the winners are announced, it's all very easy, but I think a lot of effort and sweat goes behind the activities, from the nomination to preparations to talking to students. So we really appreciate. And then also for the students that participated, or the runners up, we really appreciate, and we really would like to wish our winners all the best. Okay, now I think we have come to the end of our session. I would really just like to say, for this ASAQS presidential tour and award ceremony for 2021, I would like to give special great appreciation to the ASAQS team that has helped put this whole thing together. I would like to appreciate the efforts of the board for having mapped the way forward for us, and also what the great work that the Larry and his team are doing. I think for us, it is really important that we show appreciation, which for those of us that have been able to attend, that has already been demonstrated by your attendance, and at least we've borne witness to the good work that is taking place. So we really need to further give our support by taking up the initiatives that the association is putting across, and also to demonstrate our appreciation by showing involvement. Lastly, I just would like to thank everyone really for having been not only a great audience, because there was really very meaningful and a lot of good things that had to be said, but for taking the time to attend. I think we started off at 188. At one stage, we grew up to 233. We really appreciate that. Really sort of shows that the organization of which we belong is really making major strides. And when we talk of people going abroad, you will be surprised that they are really indeed going abroad to export what we are growing and what we are brewing here in South Africa. Because if you listened carefully to all the international efforts and initiatives that are underway, you will find somewhere in there that the ASAQS is a common denominator. So we really appreciate. Ladies and gentlemen, without much further ado, I'd just like to thank you. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mr. President, and the board members. And all my fellow quantity surveyors, go well, and thank you very much for attendance. Students, really appreciate, and all the best for all our winners. And also the award presenters, you are again a sort of a flame of hope, and we are really appreciative of your efforts and your eloquence. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Oni. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers,
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Cheers.